On some breaking news out of northeast Midland. That's where a plane has gone down in a neighborhood there. One home engulfed in flames earlier today. Another home was impacted by that, and we've been following that all morning for you. Yes, that plane actually went down. It hit one home, and the debris from the plane hit another home. The home that was hit was engulfed in flames, and actually, David, we were told that a woman was inside. She made it out, and we've also learned that the pilot survived, so some very good news this morning. That's right, and take a look at those pictures right there. You can see how serious this situation was. The fire, the flames there of this home that it was engulfed in flames when the plane went down. We do know that the plane was coming from El Campo, Texas, and was scheduled to land at Air Park. Obviously, that did not happen. It went down in this neighborhood. This is the 4500 block of Casper near Trevino. Some more pictures there. You can see the firefighter up there on the ladder. Yeah, you can see the ladder up there. These pictures are coming in from our reporters that are on the scene and also some of our Facebook viewers. Look at this picture. If you look to the left, that big portion of metal you see right there is the plane's fuselage. Look at the damage. And if you look in the middle of that picture, this is from Marcos Montez, our photographer. It looks like a car, doesn't it? Like in the middle that's just been crushed. Yeah, that's the fuselage. It looks like a car. And look at all of that damage behind. You can see it's almost like it hit the house and then all the debris went into the alleyway right there. But again, luckily, the woman that was inside made it out alive. And what surprises me looking at this debris is that the pilot made it out with only a broken arm. Yeah, you know, we're still getting, waiting to get more information on the exact injuries of that pilot. We did hear he had a broken arm. This is the map of that area where the plane went down, the 4500 block of Casper, around 8 o'clock this morning. And miraculously, like Crystal was saying, the woman in that home, we believe she was rescued and she is doing fine. The pilot was transported to Midland Memorial Hospital. We're still waiting on more injuries for him. Of course, all morning we've had live reports coming from the scene. Yes, we want to go to Kristen Lowe, who is live at the scene to get us up to date with the very latest information. Kristen.
We have moved a little closer to get a little bit closer look at this scene. Take a look over my shoulder. This is where the plane crashed this morning. Again, just after 8:10, a King Air F-90 GT plane crashed into this neighborhood. One home was fully engulfed in flames. Another suffered smoke damage. We're told the pilot was taken to the hospital. No word on his condition at this time. Also, one woman who lived in the house, she was rescued and is known to have minor injuries. As you can see, the smoke is clearing a little bit out compared to how it was when we first got here around 9 o'clock this morning. So they are making progress. Some reports say that the home is a total loss. That has not been confirmed. We have been told by Midland police that the home was fully engulfed in flames. No word on what caused the crash exactly. That continues, you know, to be under investigation at this point. Like we said, though, one woman was rescued. We are joined by James Parks with the American Red Cross. What can you tell us about what's going on here? Well,
right now the Red Cross is on the scene to provide assistance to the rescue workers that are working this fire. We'll be working with 2 families that are affected by this disaster. We did have one that was transported to the hospital, non-related to the fire. She did have high blood pressure and was elevated, so it was just precautionary to get her checked out. We'll be assisting these families with food, clothing, shelter, medications, and some counseling, and we'll be continuing to be on the scene to work with the rescue workers. Okay, and you know, James, I think the amazing thing is that, I mean, this plane, it could have had devastating effects, but the amazing thing is that only minor injuries are reported so far. It's been a true blessing that we've had only 2 homes that received damage and no one was killed. The pilot did make it out alive and is in stable condition at this time. That was the report from this morning. So it's been a true blessing, and it could have been a lot worse. We have freezing conditions still, so we're going to be on the scene to monitor to make sure that everyone's taken care of. We're real proud of this community who stepped up to come out and provide support to the rescue workers. People that live here have been out here since 8:10 this morning. All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Well, David and Crystal, that's the word on the street. It could have been a disaster, but thankfully only minor injuries were reported. Now we are being told that several homes are without power at this time, but we will continue to monitor the situation and bring the latest updates as they become available.
News West 9 First News at 4 starts now. Thanks for joining us. It's been a terrifying morning for one Midland neighborhood as a plane comes crashing down into several homes. This is video from the scene just moments after that crash happened on the northeast side of Midland near the Midland Air Park. Amazingly, no one lost their life in the crash. Well, the small private plane took off this morning from Wharton Regional Airport. That's near El Campo, Texas, and is southwest of Houston. The Midland Air Park was the plane's scheduled destination, but the plane didn't make it, missing the runway by just a few thousand feet. The National Transportation Safety Board is in Midland tonight working to determine what caused the plane to come down. Well, Gina Martinez is live in Midland with the latest information on the investigation and how those affected are doing. Gina.
Hi, Audrey. Yeah, we're here off of Casper Street and Trevino in Midland. We're kind of close to the loop, and if you look right behind me, you can see all of the damage caused by that plane crash early this morning. Now, DPS is on the scene, Midland Fire Department is on the scene, as well as the Midland Police Department. They're over here trying to, again, just kind of clean up the mess that they can from this plane wreck this morning. Now, this looks a lot different than what it did earlier today. It was very chaotic here. There was a bunch of smoke and everything from this plane crash this morning. We're going to show you some video of earlier today when that crash happened. Now, we're told that this plane was supposed to land at Midland Air Park earlier this morning, but again, obviously that did not happen. It crashed into this alleyway. We're told that it actually hit 3 homes. It clipped a storage shed, then it went into another home, and then it clipped another home rather, and then it crashed completely into this home right behind me. Now, there was one woman inside that home. She's an 81-year-old woman, but she did get out alive and safe. And as for the pilot, we just found out his name. He is 53-year-old Paige Mund. He is from Wharton County, and he was actually a contract pilot for a company called Quality Air Lease. Now, he also got out okay. We're told someone may have pulled him, or someone did actually help get him out of the plane. He's at Midland Memorial Hospital right now with a broken arm, and he's in stable condition. We're told he actually might be discharged a little bit later today. Now, again, it was very chaotic this morning. Neighbors were very alarmed. They weren't sure what happened. Some of us told us that they thought maybe it was a car accident on the loop, but obviously that was not the case. Here's what someone had to say from earlier.
I went and looked out in my backyard, and I mean, every line was down, and so I knew not to go out there, and I thought, well, they'll take care of it. I went to my front door and I saw a lady running, and I thought, so I walked out, I saw the flames, and that's when I said, it's bad.
Now, Encore officials are on the scene. We'll tell you a little bit more about them and what they're doing later. They are on the scene, though, trying to get power out here. Again, DPS is on the scene. They're investigating the agency Quality Air Lease about this crash. We're also told that the CEO is in town and that officials are looking for the black box of this airplane to figure out exactly what caused the crash. Again, we'll bring you more details as they become available at 5 and 6. Stay with us. Reporting live in Midland, Gina Martinez, News West 9.
Thanks, Gina. Well, the small plane is a Beechcraft King Air F-90 GT. It was rented from Quality Air Lease in El Campo. Here's a picture of that type of aircraft. The private plane is a 2-engine craft. These types of planes were manufactured between 1979 and 1987. We're told by the company that, again, like Gina said, CEO Mike Mobley has traveled here to Midland earlier today. Well, this morning we had quite a few of our viewers on the scene who posted pictures to our Facebook just after the crash happened. Take a look at these. The first one was taken just in front of the home that caught fire. You can see just how huge the flames were. The second one was taken from the corner of Floyd and Trevino. You can see the smoke, there it is, and the ladder from the firefighters. Also, you take a look from the alleyway. You can see lots of the damage that was caused there as the plane hit. Once again, thanks to all of our viewers who sent those in and helped us to keep up to date with more information. Well, power in the area is also an issue. Some 32 homes have been without it since the accident happened this morning. According to Encore, the plane took out 2 power poles. One of those had a transformer. Well, crews were finally allowed on the scene to begin repairs just before 2 o'clock. Encore is hoping to have the power restored by midnight tonight.
News West 9 at 5 starts now.
An early morning nightmare. A plane comes crashing down into a Midland neighborhood.
The pilot wasn't far from Midland Air Park when something went terribly wrong. That small plane hit a storage room and garage at one home, then flew across the alley and smashed into another house, catching it on fire.
And taking a look at these flames and damage, it's hard to believe anyone survived, but the pilot only suffered minor injuries. Several people helped pull him out of the plane, and an elderly woman was rescued from her burning home.
The crash happened around 8 this morning on the 4500 block of Casper on the northeast side of Midland. It's in the area of Casper and Trevino, not far from the old Rockhounds ballpark off La Mesa.
The pilot took off from Wharton Regional Airport outside of El Campo, Texas. He was scheduled to land at Midland Air Park, but didn't make it.
Tonight, an investigation is underway to determine how that crash happened.
Gina Martinez is live on the northeast side of Midland where the plane went down. Gina.
Hey, Crystal and David. Yeah, we're here off of Casper and Trevino in Midland. It's not too far from the loop, and right behind me is the house. This new, just in the last half hour, they've just put up this fence. Midland firefighters and PD and a few others just put up this fence to keep people out from this alley. They don't want them going anywhere near this house because it is very unstable. They also don't want people coming in here trying to mess with debris or any wreckage left from the plane. Now, again, Midland Police Department, the Fire Department, and DPS are all on scene right now, as well as Encore officials still trying to get power restored to customers out here. Now, taking you back to early this morning, this all happened around 8 o'clock, just a little bit after 8 o'clock. We're told an airplane was supposed to land at Midland Air Park this morning, but it missed the runway, obviously, and it said came through, crashing through this alley. It clipped a storage shed, then it clipped another home before crashing completely into the back of this home right here. We're told that one person was inside. It was an 81-year-old woman. She made it out okay. No injuries there. Her house is a total loss, though. And the pilot, his name is 53-year-old Paige Munn. He's a contract pilot for the company Quality Air Lease. They are the ones who own the plane that he was flying. He also got out okay. Someone pulled him out from the plane. He's at Midland Memorial Hospital right now with a broken arm, but he is expected to be okay and possibly even will get discharged later tonight. Now, that plane was coming from El Campo, Texas. It left from Wharton County Regional Airport, and that is kind of close to Victoria, that region around there. We're told, again, they were supposed to land at Midland Air Park this morning, but, again, that did not happen. They crashed into this home over here. As far as, again, the woman is okay. There's thankfully no serious injuries here, just minor ones. We were told that FAA was on the scene earlier as well. They were clearing some debris, clearing through the wreckage, and a DPS trooper just told us not too long ago that FAA will be back out here again. They're going to try and find that black box. Now, that's the piece of equipment that will let them know exactly what caused this accident. They're going to be here. They're going to be cleaning up that debris, separating debris and plane wreckage. They're going to put it all on a trailer and then take it to a hangar where they can, again, try and find that black box and whatever it was that caused this crash. Now, coming up tonight at 6, we spoke with a woman who was inside this house. We'll bring you her story and, again, all the latest details. Reporting live in Midland, Gina Martinez, News West 9.
Well, again, the pilot of that plane survived the crash. A good Samaritan helped rescue him from the plane.
Well, we caught up with a man who says he heard the pilot screaming from the aircraft. Jonathan Holguin then quickly sprang into action.
I ran outside and I seen all the smoke, and I told my mom just stay here, and I ran from my mom's house all the way to this house. And whenever I got here, I mean, the flames were all the way to the road, and I ran to the back, and I was just yelling if anybody was alive. And the pilot, he responded, and he was like, help me, help me. And when I seen him, I pulled him to the alley, and I waited back there for EMS to come pick him up.
Again, the pilot of the plane had a broken arm and was in stable condition. He's expected to be discharged from the hospital today. Of course, we'll keep you updated on that.
All right, let's hope that happens. Meanwhile, the owner of the first home that was hit by the plane is counting his lucky stars tonight.
The news that his home was struck came as a shock, but luckily he's around to talk about it. Jen Kastner has his story. Jen.
Larry Hawker was at work when the plane crashed, and luckily his wife wasn't home at that time either. When he heard the news, he raced home to find this. His garage door was damaged, his shed was destroyed, and his car was a total loss, which he described to us.
I can see is the tires are just melted and looks like it's all, what you call it, shredded metal or whatever, or mangled metal. But like I said, I'm looking at it from 50 feet away. I hadn't got no closer than that. So
Now, Hawker wasn't allowed into his house because crews were still working on putting out the flames. He tells me he has insurance for his house and his car, but admits replacing everything will definitely cause a few headaches. The most important loss they're still looking for, the family dog. They still can't find him. The Red Cross told me they'll help him and his family find a warm place to stay until everything gets straightened out. Live in the studio, Jen Kastner, News West 9.
Well, next-door neighbors heard the plane making some noises, then seconds later came a big boom.
They rushed out the door and couldn't believe their eyes. Aniele Ruiz joins us live to tell you what they saw. Aniele.
David and Crystal, I'm standing right in front of the homes that were damaged by today's plane crash. Now, earlier today, some of the neighbors were actually home when it happened. I spoke to these neighbors, and one neighbor told me actually that whenever this happened, his wife ran out the front door and he ran out the back, and they couldn't believe the damages. Now, the Love family tells me they could hear the pilot screaming for help. Now, when he saw the flames, his first reaction was to get buckets of water, but he just saw how big the fire was and he knew it wouldn't help. So instead, he ran to check on the pilot and to make sure everyone was out of the home. He talked to the pilot, Paige Munn, who was laying in the alley.
He was hurt. He looked dazed. He was hurt. But I think he was more, again, I think he was more concerned about making sure that, everybody was out, that everybody was safe, and that nobody was going back in there unnecessarily trying to, see if there was somebody else in the plane. So I think that was his first primary, is letting everybody know is that, hey, there's nobody else in the plane.
Well, coming up tonight on News West 9 at 6, hear more on the conversation with the pilot and also hear why neighbors say that that they knew this was actually going to happen soon. In Midland, Aniele Ruiz, News West 9.
News West 9 at 6 starts now.
When I looked in the bedroom, the whole top of the bedroom, the house was off. I could see the outside. I said, oh my God.
Amazing video for an amazing story. A pilot crashes into two North Midland homes and everyone lives to talk about it.
It happened just after 8 this morning. The pilot, 53-year-old Paige Munn, was coming in for a landing to the Midland Air Park from El Campo, Texas, when for some reason he hit the shed of one home and then crashed into the back of another.
Munn suffered only a broken arm and could actually be discharged from the hospital tonight. A woman inside the home that was burned and also escaped with only minor injuries. We'll hear more from her in just a moment.
Now, that plane went down just shy of the Midland Air Park in this neighborhood between Big Spring and Lamesa off of Loop 250. Most of the damage was confined to those homes at the corner of Trevino and Casper.
Estella Trowbridge is counting her blessings tonight. She was baking Christmas cookies in her kitchen when the plane slammed right into her home.
And thankfully, she lived to tell us her story. Gina Martinez spoke to her exclusively tonight. She joins us live from her neighborhood with her heart-stopping account. Gina.
Crystal and David, Estella Trowbridge has lived in this house for 12 years, and now she has to start over from scratch after losing everything from this plane crash this morning. But even after her terrifying morning, she was able to talk with us and joke around and even smile again after losing everything. And she says she's just thankful that everybody got out okay.
Estella Trowbridge is lucky to be alive. Today, the 81-year-old broke her usual routine of getting ready first thing in the morning in her bedroom. Instead, she went to the kitchen to bake some Christmas cookies when she says she heard a huge crash and the entire house was shaking.
Then I thought, oh my God, what was that? And I just stood up a little bit, and then I said, I think it's coming in the bedroom. So I started to walk over towards that bedroom. And when I looked in the bedroom, the whole top of the bedroom, the house was off. I could see the outside. I said, oh my God.
Estella says she could actually see the plane in her bedroom.
After that, I mean, all you hear is these explosions. Explosion after explosion. And then you can see the fire everywhere. Oh, the whole house all burned down. Somebody's knocking on my door, ramming on my garage door. They said, get out, get out.
Estella only had time to grab her two dogs, walking outside in the freezing temperatures with nothing but socks on her feet. Her daughter Ellen had just gotten off the phone with Estella minutes before the crash. She rushed over as soon as she got the call.
Very upsetting looking at the house with the flames were like this.
Estella's home since 1999 is a total loss. Thankfully, she does have insurance. Estella says God was clearly watching over her.
I feel very, very grateful to the Lord above, of course. Oh, yes, because he's the only one that did it, that protected me.
Cross is helping out Estella and the other people who were affected by the plane crash this morning. Now, again, earlier when we spoke with her, she was able to joke around and laugh with us. And when we asked her what was the first thing that ran through her mind whenever she saw the plane in her bedroom, she said, "I better grab my purse." So she was a very sweet lady and, again, very lucky to be alive. Reporting live in Midland, Crystal and David, back to you.
News West 9 also talked to the homeowner of the house that was hit first by the plane. Larry Hawker was at work when the plane crashed. His wife wasn't home at the time either. When Hawker heard the news, he raced home to find a big mess. His garage damaged, his shed destroyed, and his car was a total loss, which he described to us.
All I can see is the tires are just melted and looks like it's all, you know, what you call it, shredded metal or whatever, or mangled metal. But like I said, I'm looking at it from, 50 feet away. I hadn't got no closer than that, so.
Hawker wasn't allowed into his home because crews were still working on putting out the flames. He tells us he's got insurance for his house and car, but admits replacing everything will definitely cause a few headaches. The most important loss, they're still looking for the family dog. They still can't find him.
Well, again, the pilot of that plane crash survived. A Good Samaritan helped rescue him from the plane. We caught up with the man who says he heard the pilot screaming from the aircraft. As Audrey Castoreno tells you, he quickly sprang into action. Audrey.
That's right, Crystal. Today, neighbors are calling 20-year-old Jonathan Holguin a hero. He was first at the scene and pulled pilot Paige Munn to safety. But young Jonathan says it's not what he expected to take place this morning. He had only planned to be in the area to pay a quick visit to his mom. Jonathan says he arrived at his mother's house around 8. That's when he and his family heard a loud explosion. They went to look outside and saw a huge smoke cloud. Jonathan didn't take twice. He told his mother and sister to stay put, and he took off running towards the smoke. When he got to the flaming wreckage, he began yelling to see if anybody was alive. That's when he heard the pilot's screams for help. He was able to pull Munn from the plane and help him to an alleyway before medics arrived.
But I mean, everything happened so fast. I didn't want to hear nobody was dead. I wanted to go see if anybody was still alive. I mean, it wasn't my mind telling me, it was my body's reaction to go in there. I feel real good about myself. I know somebody was looking over me.
Well, the pilot of the plane did suffer a broken arm, but is in stable condition. He's expected to be discharged from the hospital today. Reporting in the studio, I'm Audrey Castoreno, News West 9.
One neighbor was in his home with his wife when he heard the plane making noises, then the big boom.
Oh, he couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the crash right from his backyard. Aniele Ruiz joins us with the Love family's home to tell us what happened next. Aniele.
David and Crystal, I'm right in front of the homes that were damaged by today's plane crash. Now, earlier today, the fence that's right behind me was not up, and neighbors had a clear view of the scene. Now they say they saw the flames right after the plane went down.
And then a few seconds later, there was a loud pop, and then immediately the lights and everything went out. And so I had a feeling it was a plane.
Kerry Love's home is right down the alley from the plane crash. He and his wife were inside their home when they heard the crash. Kerry ran out his back door and he couldn't believe what he saw.
And saw the house on fire and the car on fire, and was trying to find out if there was anybody in there. So I was going to try to get water, but when I looked at the plane, any buckets of water I was going to get wasn't really going to do anything.
Even more chilling, Kerry could hear the pilot screaming for help.
So the pilot was right at this spot right here, and we were trying to get the pilot out, but they were more concerned that if we helped them too much, we would cause more damage. So they came out. He came out. He said he was the only person in the plane, which was good, and they put him right there.
Neighbors got everyone out of the house safely. Despite being hurt, the pilot, Paige Munn, kept asking if everyone was okay.
He was hurt. He looked dazed. He was hurt, but I think he was more concerned about making sure that, everybody was out, that everybody was safe, and that nobody was going back in there unnecessarily trying to, see if there was somebody else in the plane. So I think that was his first primary, is letting everybody know is that, hey, there's nobody else in the plane.
Needless to say, neighbors are shaken up, but they're counting their blessings. Everyone made it out alive.
Everything. The plane is totally melted. The cars are totally melted. You can't see. The house is destroyed. I'm glad to hear that lady living there survived.
You don't hear about that too much, where pilots actually survive the crash, but that's that's a good thing and blessing. So
I was glad that it didn't spark up any other houses because I thought it was the wind was gonna penetrate and start hitting the other houses. And
well, people in this neighborhood are so shaken up, some even told me they're thinking of moving. They say the planes fly too low and close to their homes. In Midland, Annie Ruiz, News West 9.
This is a picture of the same model plane that hit tonight. It's a Beechcraft King Air F-90 GT. The plane can usually hold up to 8 people, but fortunately the pilot was flying alone this morning. The plane took off this morning from Wharton Regional Airport. That's in South Texas near the city of El Campo, which is southwest of Houston. The Midland Air Park again was the plane's intended destination.
Well, when the plane crashed, it also took out the power for dozens of folks in the neighborhood. Jen Kastner talked to Encore, who's scrambling to fix the problem. Jen.
Thanks, Crystal. It's extremely cold out there, around 35 degrees right now, making it an especially bad day to lose power. A short while ago, we talked to Encore. They provide electricity to the area. We're told 2 poles were taken out in the crash. One had a major power line. The other had some secondary lines. All in all, exactly 32 homes are powerless right now. Encore is doing all they can to restore it.
It is cold outside, and our workers are working in the cold to get the power back on as quickly as possible. But processes like this just take some time. We want to work in a safe manner and get the power restored as soon as we can.
Now, a transformer was also knocked over in the crash, spilling oil onto the ground. Crews are working to clean that up as fast as possible. Encore says they're pretty sure this oil doesn't have any toxic properties, but they'll be testing it like they routinely do with all spills. Encore tells us they're now expecting the power to be turned back on at around midnight. We'll update you during News West 9 at 10. Live in the studio, Jen Kastner, News West 9.
Live in HD from the station that brings you more West Texas news. News West 9 at 10 starts now.
A Midland neighborhood rattled early this morning after a small plane crashed into 2 homes. Amazingly, everyone is alive to talk about their ordeal.
This all happened around 8 this morning. The pilot, 53-year-old Paige Mund, was trying to land at Midland Air Park when he hit the shed of one home and then slammed into a second home. Mund had taken off from El Campo, Texas this morning, just southwest of Houston.
Mund was pulled from the plane by a Good Samaritan. He only suffered a broken arm. A woman inside the burning home was also rescued and is talking about her close call tonight.
Now, that plane went down just shy of the Midland Air Park in this neighborhood between Big Spring and La Mesa off of Loop 250. Most of the damage was confined to those homes at the corner of Trevino and Casper.
We begin tonight new at 10 with neighbors living nearby the crash who are now feeling scared for their safety.
Some are even considering moving out. Nick Lawton went from house to house on the scene to hear what they had to say. Nick.
David and Crystal, the sun may have been setting at the scene of the crash, but like the smell of smoke and the leaking fuel, the crash is still all too real for those whose homes were damaged. Now, neighbors' feelings are torn. While they see this crash as something that hasn't happened before, they're not ruling out that because of their location near the air park, it could happen again. All through the day, a fiery crash on Trevino Street in Midland united neighbors. They helped first responders and said prayers for the owners of the 2 damaged homes as well as the pilot. They rejoiced that no one was killed. For some, this has been a day they've been dreading. They've been concerned about low-flying planes over their neighborhood for years.
The more I'm out here, the more the lower the planes feel like they're lower, like they're going to hit the wires and stuff, you know, and then by the time you know, they're gone, they've already landed. So yeah, it's been like one after another.
Now other neighbors are fearing for their safety living in a neighborhood so close to the air park. Some neighbors told News West 9 their time on Trevino Street might be over.
We should move out, or maybe they can move the airport. It's not safe anymore, you know, we don't feel safe anymore.
This crash also came as a shock for Carol Mulvihill and her family, who had only moved here 3 months ago.
I called my husband at work and told him,
He thought, oh yeah, we're right in the flight path. What are we doing there?
But a crash like this is still unparalleled for this neighborhood, and many are content chalking it up as a one-time accident.
I visited with one lady who said she's lived here 20 years and nothing like this had ever happened before, so that was reassuring.
While other neighbors think the air park needs to go.
I just wish the airport wasn't there. Why do they have it there, you know? Why can't it be moved?
And the last time a crash like this happened was back in 1995. Back then, a plane crashed into a home on the west side of Loop 250 behind the Office Depot. The pilot and the passenger were killed, but no one was in the house at the time. In the studio, Nick Lawton, News West 9.